For the administrator
Yeah.
on this.
Okay, well, I'm recording it now, so you should see. Yeah,
Yes.
so there's the little light saying it's recording. Yep. Cool. Right. So we're going to take what's currently in that field and put it into that field, and that's the field that's going to display on the picking ticket. So then it's going to say item, and then here it's going to say supplier ID, and there's only going to be one of them. That's what that's about. We're only going to show total weight and square meter where it's appropriate. And then down the bottom here, we're going to show total weight and total square meter. If the item class is glass, grill, mesh, fiberglass, then we want square meter. And that's going to come from this field here on each of those item classes, multiplied by the quantity. And if we're doing, and this is for you guys. So there was a few things there where you need to populate the values for those stock items because that's not shown on those. Yeah. Okay. And then if it's item aluminium, we want to show the total weight, and that's going to come from that field. Accessories and rubber, we're not showing the weight or the square meters. So that's all correct. Total weight and square meter need to show on the picking ticket in the footer section. So that's this bit here. So total weight of all the things and total square meters of all the things. I sent that to Manpreet, so she's the report writing lady, and she's onto that. So then the next topic was reorder points. A grade will provide reorder points in Excel. So this one again is for you guys.
But
so we just need.
She emailed you back saying no, that Travis can do it.
Yeah, that's just because what she means is noted, comma, I can do it.
Oh, she wrote Travis,
noted Travis.
Yeah, I know it's poorly worded, but what she means is noted, I will do it.
Oh, she meant Travis, I can do it.
Yeah. It's because she since emailed me some other questions, and I know she started it, so she's definitely onto it. So from you guys, we need this for the reorder points, which is just a spreadsheet that's going to have the inventory ID and the reorder point. Okay, so it's just got two fields in it for whatever stock you want to have with reorder points. Right, purchase orders. The logo, I changed it just because it was easy enough. I changed it to the white version, so that's done. And that's kind of the topics that we covered last time. So we got mostly through the purchasing process. Last time we didn't pay anyone yet, so I think we probably need to cover that off, and then that's payables dealt with.
Yeah.
And then we can move on to sales or whatever other topic you think you want to do next. And it's good that we're getting together.
What are the two topics that we're doing? We're doing the still sales and the accounts part of things, isn't it?
Yeah, the topics you need to cover are basically you need to cover sales, you need to cover inventory, you need to cover banking, and you need to cover general ledger. Okay. So it doesn't really matter what order that's in. So, but the last thing of payables is we haven't done a payment run yet. I don't think, did we?
No.
Pay some people. Yeah. All right. So let's cover that, and then that's probably enough of payables for the time being, and then we can move on to something else. So at the end of the day, when you do some purchases and you receive the stock and you eventually create an invoice, no matter how you process that transaction, you'll eventually end up here, right, in this bills and adjustments section. This is also where the invoices would be if you.
You said you were going to show us as well if we return a stock to our as our supplier. How do we import that? Put that back into.
Okay, cool. Do you want to cover that first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think paying people is a bit easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you need to know, and it doesn't vary between organisations. It's basically, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But you still need to be shown it.
Yeah,
so
100%.
do it. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's do a purchase order and we return some of it. So I've got my normal purchase order up. I'm going to buy some aluminium off of Hadid Aluminium and Supply. So we'll just start with an actual transaction. We can always use a few more transactions in here. Aluminium. I'm going to grab some of this. 100 of those at $80.
How come the default price doesn't come up already?
If you purchased it before, so if you've got the combination of that with whatever item, it will come up.
Sorry.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. Oh, yeah, and sales will come up from the price that's in against the stock card. All right. So a couple of things. 180. We remove them from hold. We enter a purchase order receipt. So it does really depend on when you reject the stock or you don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Because even at this point, you could say, I'm not going to receipt it in the first place, right? So you could say, well, 20 of that's damaged or something. So I'm going to receipt in, actually, let's make it clearer. So let's say 10 of that's damaged. So I'm going to receipt in 90 and I'm not going to receipt that 10. So that's the first sort of port of call where you could say to your supplier, I'm not going to accept it. Is that likely that you would know at that point in time or not?
You can.
Yeah, okay. All right, so that's option one. So we can say, not going to even receipt it in to begin with. So then by the time we do our invoice, which we can do in one step here, but you said you'd probably do in 2 steps, but I'll just show you that you can do it in 1 step.
Yeah,
so if I
create bill and release.
Yeah. So then that goes straight to the bill screen. So then after that, if you want to return it, I will show you that as well. Teams always slows my machine down so badly. All right. So I'll just duplicate a tab up top. And we can have a look at where we got to. So payables, bills and adjustments. And all right, so it created that. I'm going to make a setting change there actually, because what that's done is release that transaction straight away, right? And hasn't given us a chance to, if we wanted to, update the dollar values, and especially if you're receiving some of it, your opinion on what you now owe and what their opinion on what you now owe might be different. So in payables, I think it's payables. Well, I think it's that setting there, hold documents on entry. We'll just make sure that that happens. Just going to test that one because it's going to be an important one. If you start processing, go live, and then go, oh, actually, that's sort of, I'm getting all sorts of weird numbers coming through that I haven't been able to change. I think we need to make sure that works. So you see the unit cost there, by the way, because in our testing, we've bought this off of that supplier before. So it's going to come through with the last cost for that item for that supplier. This time I'm just going to do that again. Hopefully it will not release it immediately. Just create the bill, would be our preferred scenario.
I understand because you're creating the bill, so why can you change prices still?
Because what 95% of people want to be able to, that didn't open it as well. Because at the moment, how it's set, right, it's just it's automatically releasing that to the general ledger with an amount on it. You don't have any opportunity to check it. So I think it's like you might figure out that that's not a problem, but I think we want to make sure that you get, at least before you go, full on into it, that you get an opportunity to change it. So just give me 1 sec to think as to where that setting is. Create bill on the thing release. That was where I changed it. I'll find that after our meeting, but I do want to change that. All right, so for the purposes of now, if you want to return something, you can go into your purchase receipts area. And whatever it is that you originally were supplied, you can grab up. And then you can click this return button here. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to return everything. So say we want to return just that, some of that. I click return. My document type now is going to be a return.
Yeah.
And then you might not want to return all of it. So you can say, I'm going to return just 7 items of it. And hit return or release, sorry. So then by default, it's then saying enter an AP bill.
Is that going to be a credit thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So even though it says AP bill, if we actually click on it, what it's going to be is a debit adjustment, so the opposite of an invoice. So in the payable side, a debit adjustment is the opposite of an invoice.
So that's the ledger, the AP accrual, and then inventory decrease.
Yeah, inventory decrease. So if you have a look at the journal, while you're doing your testing and stuff, it's always a good idea to have this journal screen open onto the.
This is like
so you can just kind of. Yeah. Well, presumably you've done some sort of accounting study because you know what you're talking about. So it's going to go trade creditors, you owe them less money now. And then.
Yeah, it's -7. How many ledgers?
And inventory is going to come down. And then you're going to have some effect on your GST as well, by the looks of things. Yeah, well, that makes sense to have.
Yeah, you're going to reduce GST.
Yeah. And then you've got the accrual part because the journals come in 2 sections. So they come in the AP section and it comes in the inventory section. And so those accrual accounts, so that's the other side. So it's affecting your inventory and affecting your accrual. Yeah. Anything else you want to know about that sort of area? Rania?
No,
happy with that?
Okay,
yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so to cover off the payable side of things then is to the payments, right?
Pay bills.
So everyone's favorite thing. All right. So you've got all of these.
You can do it directly from the actual the bill because it says I still paid before.
You can, yeah. So you like anything, you've got options, right? So if we were to start here, it depends how you pay stuff. Do you normally pay it in sort of payment run?
Or yes, so what we do, we pay all our suppliers at the end of the month.
Yeah, in one go. Yeah. Okay. So you.
But we still do things manually. We don't do it like our account isn't attached to our NYOB, so we do it all manually. Everything's done manually still.
Okay. Do you want to make that different, or do you want to continue?
No, I'm gonna attach for this one. I'm gonna put the I'm gonna connect the account to this. Yeah.
So that it creates an ABA file and you import it into your bank, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So it's unlikely that you would come in here and just click pay, which you can do, right? And you certainly people do that if they've got foreign currency things sometimes because.
But I want the option as well to have it both. I can still do. I remember there's one that says pay manually. I can pay manually because I can transfer manually as well. So I saw that there's 2 options. I can do it via ABA file and one through manual transfer.
Yes. You could even just do an ABA file and then ignore the thing that results the ABA file and not use it in your bank. That would work fine as well. So paying a single one though would be come into here and click pay, and then that will pay just this invoice. So by default, what it's doing is
ABA file.
ABA file. So, and that setting comes from the supplier.
Yeah,
each of the suppliers will have a payment method.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So more likely is that you would go payables and you would go prepare payments. All right, so prepare payments, and then you would say, what style of payment run am I doing? And at the moment we have these 5, right? So if I want to do an ABA file, I pick that, and then which bank account am I paying from, which in your case is going to be the only bank account that you have. So in your testing, you will likely end up with nothing in this bottom section until you remove this checkbox, and even then I'm not ending up with anything.
Yep.
I'm going to just manually add this.
Is it because you haven't put
It's because of this field here. I just need to. I'm going to add this in, but then I'm also going to make it default as for any future transactions. Give me a second. Payment ABA. So defaults. And then manual we're using as well. All right, so I'm just going to test that. So if I do a new bill for, let's say these guys, but this time it's not inventory related, it's just like a fee or something, right? So we're just going to go fee over here. Not that realistic example, but I just want to make sure that it's defaulting.
Are you creating an invoice again?
Yeah. But what I'm testing on this occasion is, does it put that cash account in, which it does, which means you won't have it showing blank in that other area anymore. So that's fixed that problem. So when I come in here, right, and if I refresh this whole thing now, now that I've updated that invoice setting, it's actually going to say there's 3 invoices in there that need to be paid. Okay. Normally, when you're actually using the system, so not testing it, this will be on, right? Because that's on by default. And then it's only going to suggest to you down here what's due in the next 3 days. But because we've only just entered those invoices, we want to see them whether they're due or not, because they're not actually technically due yet, right? So you can sort these columns however you want. You know, invoice number is probably something that's a bit more relevant, so you might want to have that at the top. Supplier name, probably don't care too much about line numbers and maybe due date. So let's start with that, and an amount would be good too. All right, so and I'll just make your columns look like that, so it just makes it easier for you when you go live. Okay, so and line number, we'll get rid of that too. Okay, and save that to everyone. All right, so that should be enough information down the bottom for you to decide who you want to pay, right? So if I tick a couple of those and then click process, that then jumps me to the next screen.
I'm just going to ask, you know how here, because you have the same supplier the whole way through now. Hadad Supplies was your only supplier. How about if you had someone else? Would it come on the same screen as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, unless you specifically say you want that supplier.
Yep, let's do another supplier for purposes of that. So we'll just pick this guy.
Oh, you picked that supplier. Okay.
Come on.
How about if you only want to pay one specific supplier?
Yep, I just got to mock up a quick example for that. I'll just finish this one because we're halfway through a payment run, but then we'll do the other one in a second. So on this screen, all it's doing is allocating a number, basically, an ABA number. Just going to put 1, next time it's going to put 2. So this screen, you can just go straight process through. You don't actually have to do anything on that screen. And then on this screen, this is where release will update all of the balances. Okay, so as soon as you click release, you will no longer owe these people money.
Yeah, and the description is what's going to appear on their bank account, yeah?
No, I'll show you where that comes from. Then that button changes to export. So if I click on that, it will put to your downloads folder this ABA file here. So if we have a look at that, it looks like this at the moment. So that there, you should be able to just import into your bank. Okay.
Oh, you import that. Okay.
Yeah, so you'll need to try it. You can import it, and then when it gets to the bank screen, you don't have to confirm it, so you won't actually pay anyone. But you need to see that it actually works. You might need to put a different number in here, so it might not work first time. So, but we'll see. All that information comes from the cash account here. So there is a number here. This number here, we might need to change that because that number there is showing up here. Some banks need that number and some banks don't. So I'll email you that file.
That's the number of user.
What's that?
Number of user we need to change.
Yeah, the first thing we'll do is we'll just try it as is because it might be fine. So okay, so sometimes some banks are more helpful than others, and they'll say, this is what's wrong with the file. Some of them will just go, doesn't upload, so we'll just see how we go. But if you try and upload that file, that would be good. Do you want to try it now, or do you want to do it later?
No, Rania. It's not here. She just left for 1 second. She's coming back. I don't know if she's on the shore.
Okay. Do you want me to keep talking, or we wait?
Yeah. If you want to just give us 2 minutes.
Yep, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so if I have a question, when you
Yeah.
go to prepare payments,
Mhm.
but we can see all supplier invoices,
Yes.
and then we can choose which supplier we want to pay.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it's easy. Okay.
So just to finish this one, so the last thing would normally be send remittances, okay? Which we can't do because your email doesn't work yet. So I'm not sure what the situation is with that. Do you know?
Payment date for the remittance or?
No, what happened with the email settings?
Oh, no, I haven't heard back from Celine.
Okay, because we
still
can't
not working?
send anything yet. Yeah, that was an item from last time when it wasn't working. So I'll just put it in our notes that we got. So email. I'm just going to put email not sending with a date at the moment. 15. Okay. Yeah. So if we were to do a payment run again, now that I've got a couple of different suppliers in there, so we'll go here and go prepare payments.
Supplier?
Hadid's in there. Where's the other one? This one here. What's that thing here? Oh, because they've been set to manual, these guys. So that's something to note as well. So if I go up here, right, this is only showing me the ABA file ones, but if I go to manual, then it's going to show me those other ones. So I do in fact have two different suppliers here with the manual payment method.
Yeah.
So if you were to pay both of those, you would just tick both of those, press process, and then it would go, all right, I'm going to pay both of these, and it sums them together. In this case, we only had one invoice for both, so it's the same total, but then process that. And because it's manual, that's the end of that process. Okay, so it doesn't go to create the ABA file, and doesn't go to the remittance advice thing. So yeah, and then other things that people would tend to do is go to this supplier details section, where they would look up, say, Hadid, and see what the situation is. Okay, so at the moment we've still got one invoice in there and one debit adjustment. And if I click show all documents, that's going to show me the past documents. So these two invoices are paid because they have a status of closed. This one's still open because it's hasn't been paid. This one's still open, which is the debit adjustment, and that's the payment that closed these two invoices originally.
Okay, where I can find last item purchase?
Last item purchased from them would probably be, so you can see the most recent invoice, which is this one.
Yeah.
right? Because just from the numbering, or in real life, probably the date as well would help. And then if you click into that, you'd be able to see what it was that was on that invoice. Yeah, in this case, it was a bank fee.
For example, when I go to NYUB account, right, I can go to purchase and reports, and then to purchase report, I can go to purchases, item details, and I select the date from to, and I can search for the one item, for example, that I need to know what was the last purchase and how many we purchased last time,
So from the item perspective, like you're looking at the item and seeing when you last bought it, is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try this. If we said, because I know we've bought
like item
the first aluminium. So we've bought this one. So if we went up here and then went inventory transaction details or history or one of those ones. So if we had a look here, see if that tells us what you want to know. Yeah, okay, so this item, the last time we bought it was on this receipt, which came in on the 12th of the 8th.
Okay.
Similar stuff. You really just have to play with it and see which ones you like there, because there's another one here that's very similar. Shows an adjustment and also shows a receipt. And then finally, there's probably even another couple here as well. Transaction summary. So once you decide which one it is that you like the most, just continue to use that one or put a little star next to it.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts in that area?
And same with the sales as well. When last sale of this item, for example.
Yeah, it would show on the same screen because this is in this case it's showing the amount in, but it's also showing sales as well. So that one or this one, because you got a quantity in, quantity out situation. So yeah.
When quantity out, so I just want to know which customer bought that item.
Yeah. Okay. So let's throw through a couple of sales transactions so that we've got some data in there.
Yeah. Okay, that's related to sales.
Yep.
Okay, so we leave it for later when we start sales.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of at the end of purchases enough for you guys to play around and test now.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk sales yet, or do you want to wait till Rani's back, or?
I'm waiting for Rani to back. I don't know what's happening. Where's Rania? So purchase is finished?
Well, yeah, I mean, you'll probably need a recap, but I think it's finished enough for you to have a play with it and then come back and see if you've got any other further questions. And then we go over whatever you need to go over again. That's fine. But I think probably for now, that's enough for purchases.
Yeah, okay. I think that's if we can start sales.
Okay. Do you want to start without running, or do you want to do sales tomorrow, or what do you want to do?
Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow 1 hour?
Yeah. Can we do it in the afternoon?
Afternoon. Yeah. What time?
1:30.
Rania leaves at 2:20 or something like that.
Or otherwise Wednesday at 10:30.
Wednesday. Rania, she came back.
Okay.
Just give me a second. I'll ask.
I think it's important for Rania to be in
Yeah.
to see this stuff.
Yeah.
So I can do 10:30 on Wednesday. Does that suit?
Can you do 10:30 on Wednesday?
I've got my surgery on Wednesday.
Yeah, okay. So when we can do tomorrow 1:30? What time you will leaving tomorrow?
No, tomorrow, I'll do something. I have to be out here too.
Yeah, okay.
Can we do it earlier tomorrow?
I've already I'm booked out until 12:30 tomorrow. Sorry.
Yeah, can we do 12:30 to 1:30?
That's also an hour away from. I actually have to. I need 45 minutes to drive back. Can we? I can do like 1:40. No, 1:15.
Yeah, but she can continue with the recording. That's fine. But I have to be out at 2 o'clock.
Yep. With today, what's the story? Do you just need to go for an hour and come back, or are you done for today?
No, I'm done. I have my accounting appointment. My accountant's coming, so it's gonna be a couple hours.
All right. And Wednesday you're in surgery. Is that like? Are you going to be off for a week or so, or are you just a day?
Look,
or two,
I can do it from home. I'll log in from home. Yeah.
All right, we'll do one.
But I'm not gonna. I'll probably be in bed, but I'll do it from home.
That's right. Just leave your camera off.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll send you an invite, and we'll do sales on Wednesday then.
No, Wednesday's a no-go. Wednesday, no, because I'm in surgery, so I will not be on my computer.
Thursday?
Okay, I'll see how I go.
Yeah, I have recording. You have access to that.
Okay.
Well,
all right, so we'll go sales training Wednesday, and we'll do it for an hour. Yeah.
No, not Wednesday. Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Yeah. That's what I meant. Sorry.
What time?
Thursday. 10 o'clock. Okay.
If I can't.
So what time? 10 o'clock.
10. Yeah.
What state are you guys in? Sorry, I can't remember.
New South Wales.
Yeah.
New South Wales.
Yeah.
That one. All right. And what time in Sydney do you want to start?
10.
10. All right. Done. So we'll cover off sales on Thursday. Hopefully the picking ticket will be done by then as well. So we'll show that working as well. And then you've got a couple of items on here that we talked through. So I've highlighted them for you. So we need to get that email working. We need to get your reorder points in.
Did it submit sending an email? Sending an email on Friday.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
I haven't actually caught up to Friday's emails yet, so maybe I'll check. Because he did send me one at one point saying it was working, and then I tested it and it wasn't. But maybe
So I think he sent me an email that you have to do something.
All right, yeah, I'll double check. Okay, but the reorder points you still got to do in Excel, and you've still got to populate the fields for these classes for the total square meters. Okay. And I'll make sure Manpreet does this and check that for you.
Yeah.
We'll talk about sales on Thursday, and I'll just before I sign off from your site, I'll just make sure that thing doesn't post in the payables ledger.
He's sending an email at 11:38 on Friday. Just have a look at it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I just haven't caught up to that yet, but I will look shortly.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys. Talk to you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.